Microsoft's fall Surface event happened, and there was quite a bit announced from Microsoft. Let's open this up here and have a quick look.
I'm surprised, to be honest, at the lineup that they showed.
Yeah, so I've always actually wanted one of those Surface folding laptops because they're small.
Right.
I haven't ever bought one. I know your brother has had a few, hasn't he?
Yeah, they've used them for his business, for techs on the field, and they've worked pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're small, they're portable. So a whole bunch of new stuff was announced this week. So you've got the Surface Pro 8 redesigns. The Surface Laptop Studio puts a hinge. So this laptop slash tablet slash drawing pad, I guess. So you can fold it back so that it looks like a normal laptop. You can put the screen forward like this for if you're not going to be using the keyboard, or you can make it flat as well if you want it to be more of a tablet design.
That seems to be good for those. I think they kind of might be targeting like people who want to be drawing on it, and that makes sense. People who are using a stylus and stuff like that.
No, for sure. And I mean, that industry is just growing. People are using them more and more for design, for social media, for everything. So it's a good option. And apparently, or the pens on some of these, the drawing pens actually get hidden in the computer, kind of under a lip, and
Right.
Charge in there as well. So apparently there's like the pen has, I don't remember what the technology is called, but it actually has, I don't want to say movement, but it kind of has a vibration, let's call it, inside of it.
The haptic feedback.
Yeah. So I think you're right. That's what it was called. And when you write, it actually feels like you're writing on paper. So
Oh, cool.
which is awesome. Now, the Surface Duo 2 is announced. I forgot about the Surface Duo.
I think a lot of people did, but this one has my interest.
Well, I watched a video on this, and it actually, like, there's a video on this page. If you have time, go ahead and watch it. That gives you some more feedback, or some more information on this. But this looked really cool. Like, you could, especially if you, I don't know, like, they showed people having meetings and being able to draw on the screen and take part in, like, Teams calls on whiteboards and I don't know. It just seemed very functional.
Well, you know how functional it is to have a second monitor on a computer.
Yes.
So this seems to be doing that very thing in a mobile device. So rather than trying to just make one big screen that folds out like other companies have been trying to do, I think having the hinge is superior.
I think so
this is
too.
better. Yeah.
And it basically allows you to do two things at the same time. And I know you can probably do that if the screen folds in half, but this just seems
More
like
intuitive.
a dual screen device.
Yeah, and it gives a more clear definition of left side, right side. I'm going to put my chat here. I'm going to put the whiteboard here. You know, I'm going to put my documentation here, and I'm going to put the, you know, this is easier on my brain, and I would rather have this than one fold out screen that gets a crease that doesn't go away. That, you know.
Yeah. No, for sure. I mean, there is a niche to this just because of the size. Not everybody's going to want a phone that big as well, because it is your phone. It does do your text. So it is pretty big. But for a business user, this might be, maybe you have a desktop at the office and you don't need a laptop anymore. This might do the trick for you.
Yeah. Especially for those jobs where you just need two things open. Because that seems to be a common need, and they could really get that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think, and there's some games for it. There was 3 like games for it as well that are like only for this device apparently.
Oh, really?
So yeah, I think you could kind of flip it sideways, and then the one screen was your controller.
Oh, okay. So they're kind of doing like the DS thing kind of deal.
Yeah. So
that's cool.
I'm sure there'll be more games than that, but there was like 3 games specifically for it, for sure.
Right.
So
Now, I want to say what I'm excited here, I think the most out of this lineup, well, there's, and then one thing, so the one thing I'm probably most excited about is the Surface, what's it called? Microsoft Surface Go 3, was it called?
Go 3 refreshed. This one.
Yeah. So that I'm excited about because it seems to be like the Microsoft Surface, just more budget stripped down version.
Yeah.
And this one, for the price point and stuff, they've improved the processor on this. So it's a dual core, but it's hyper threaded, so it has 4 threads. But looking at the specs of it, it's actually like quite a competent spec on it. And the processor runs on 5 watts, which is impressive. So it's like really low power draw. Like,
yeah.
So the TDP is 5 watts. My computer's TDP is 130 watts, just to get perspective, right?
Yeah.
So it's a 5-watt processor, which the previous generation was 4.5 watts, which may not seem like much of a difference, but in this spec range, they've improved it. Yeah, it just seems like I was looking at the processor chipset. It's competent, I think, for a lot of tasks.
Yeah.
And the price point range is, I'm looking at it being like, this seems like, we were talking earlier about this one, but it seems like a jump up from like Chromebooks. Like Chromebooks are still cheaper, don't get me wrong. But this seems to be like the jump up from Chromebooks to a full near desktop experience because it's an x86 processor in there.
Yeah.
So which means it should support. I'm not sure if it was supporting the full Windows 10 and 11 or not. I was assuming it is. And if that's the case, I could use this for quite a bit of stuff. Yeah, for my programming or like this. I don't need a super beefy. I don't need the beefy Surface Pro. This, I think, would actually take care of my tasks and actually be within a reasonable budget.
Yeah. No, they definitely, like when I head down to Best Buy, if I look at these, I've always, like the older version, have always been really drawn towards these Surface products.
Yeah.
And I would love to get one of these, probably the Pro version, just for traveling and just being able to maybe do small video edits on the fly and being able to answer emails and different things without taking up a whole suitcase just to bring your computer with you.
So I think between the two of us, I think the Surface Pro would be more in your category, what you would want, and the Surface Go would be all that I would likely need. And they seem to be covering 2 use cases here.
Yeah.
And I think, they may have some good sales there.
Yeah.
That,
so I think
that's there, by the way.
Ahead.
No, down.
This?
The mouse.
This?
The mouse.
The mouse?
That.
I actually didn't look at that. Okay, tell me about the mouse.
So the mouse is cool. I really, really like the look. And when you understand how it's made, it kind of makes sense. I feel like this belongs to the 90s. It feels like I'm watching Saved by the Bell kind of like territory here.
A tie-dye.
No, because when you zoom in on it, it's like speckled, like turquoise and like.
Okay.
But anyway, it's made by 20% recycled ocean plastics.
Okay.
So it's made from recycled product, and when you look at it, so I see like these green turquoise specks in there, and it just feels like recycled turquoise. Like it just feels like.
Let's see if I can zoom in a little bit.
Like it's like an ocean turquoise green kind of there, and this just looks so cool to me. Plus, I like the ocean. I like being on boats at sea, so I'm just kind of like, maybe this sounds dumb, but they somehow won me with this mouse. And to the next person, it might look completely ugly and weird, like just boring.
Was there anything? Like this. Okay, so it's the whole thing is that it's an eco-friendly mouse.
It's an eco-friendly. They're using wasted plastics in the ocean, recycled.
Yeah.
So 20% is to make it, and that's cool. But on top of that, I legitimately like the look of this. It just, some reason, I feel like it belongs in like 1993 computer lab somewhere.
Except there's no cord.
Except there's no cord, but other than that, it just hits the right. So I like that too.
Yeah, I think Microsoft did a really good job in their event. There's a lot of cool stuff there, and I'm excited to try some of it out. Unfortunately, they're not sending me anything, but I'll have to head down to Best Buy when it comes out and play with it there.